brought to you by Hudson Valley Hospital Center. Today, I have on the show two very special guests with me. I have Chef Christopher Mattson from the Trump National Golf Club, and Rosemarie Panio. She's a member of Hudson Valley Hospital Center's Foundation Board. And today we're going to talk a little bit about a great event, a fundraising event that Hudson Valley Hospital Center's Foundation has coming up, Wine and Dine Around the World. It's going to be at Trump National, and that's going to be November 13th. And it's going to be a wonderful evening. We will have, the chef will be there along with about 20 to 30 other local restaurants, which will do tastings. We'll have wine, and Rosemarie will be there. Yeah. And we will have some wonderful tastings of wine and beer and a lot of different things. So today we're here, and Chef Mattson has graciously agreed to prepare something for us that he's going to be doing the night of the Wine and Dine. Why don't you tell us a little bit first about yourself, and then maybe we can get started doing some preparations here.
Well, my name is Chris Mattson. I've been at Trump for a little over 3 years now, and I've been the executive chef for 1. But I have extenuated experience in all things culinary. Started cooking at 14, became executive chef at the age of 23, and that's when I decided I have a passion for it and something that I wanted to make my career and just not a job. So I decided to move back to New York City, which is where I was from. And I attended the French Culinary Institute, which is now the International Culinary Center. And there I received a pastry degree as well as a culinary degree. And from there, my travels have taken me from New York City to Florida, to the Midwest, to the Caribbean. And I just keep growing every day as a chef, and hopefully my ultimate goal is to be better today than I was yesterday.
Wonderful. Well, that's great. Well, we're very lucky to have you here, and we very much appreciate it. And Rosemarie here is a very distinguished member of the Yorktown community. Not only has she served as GOP chairman in the town for many years, but she was the only woman to ever serve as a GOP chairman for all of Westchester County, and we're very glad to have her here.
Thank you.
Rosemarie, in addition to all this, is very knowledgeable about wines. As you may know, her and her husband Rocco own the Panio Wines and Liquors in Peekskill for many, many years. So we are very lucky to have her and all her experience in wine with this Wine and Dine Around the World. So thank you for being here today.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
She's going to tell us a little bit about some of the wines that we'll have that evening, as well as what will go with what Chef Mattson's going to be preparing today. So why don't we get started, and maybe we can talk a little bit about what you're going to be making for us today?
Well, this afternoon, or I guess this morning still, we will be making butternut squash croquettes, which is a very basic French potato application that's made with potatoes and egg yolks, breaded and fried. In this instance, we'll be adding a little bit of roasted butternut squash to it, just to kind of give it that a little more hardiness, a little more fall, and it's perfect for Thanksgiving, which is coming up, or any type of fall accompaniment you want to any entree. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take some Yukon potatoes. I've already blanched or pre-cut them and peeled them. We're going to boil those until just tender. I've already pre-roasted a butternut squash, as you see here. And the way this is done is you just take the butternut squash, cut it in half, take the seeds out with the spoon, lightly rub it down with some oil and some salt and pepper, and then roast it in about 400-degree oven for about 35 minutes, or until just tender with the knife. And then from there, we're just going to blend these up, mix the two together. I'm going to pipe them out. We'll bread them and fry them, and we'll be able to see a little sample of what you can be in store for when you come November 13th.
Great. Well, that sounds great. It also sounds like something that's relatively easy to prepare at home, and would be, as you said, something great for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it smells wonderful.
Well, it does, absolutely.
So everything that I try to do here is very basic. So, you know, you can take this to the fanciest of restaurants, or you can make it in the simple grandma kitchen that we all grew up and love when we think about the holidays, especially coming up. You know, it's what always makes me feel at home is when I go home and I see the dishes from my grandmother, my mother make. You know, every year it's a staple. You know, you'd think you get tired after 35 years, but
No.
no, that's the one thing I look forward to.
Yeah.
And plus, when I don't have to cook, it's a treat for me.
Yeah.
So it's like my favorite meal is always whatever somebody else makes. So
Absolutely.
Why change a good thing?
absolutely,
Really?
absolutely.
So,
Rosemary.
so we have a couple of wines here today, and I think Rosemary was telling us that before that either one of these wines might go with this, and maybe you want to tell us a little bit about
It depends on also what you're serving with it and what your personal preference. It's always the question. I always tell people, drink what you like. That's the most important thing. But we have a white from Gavi. Gavi is made in Piemonte, which is where my family lives. And I just spent a month in Piemonte, so, and visited wine country, of course. This is a wonderful white because it has a beautiful flavor. And, you know, when I'm serving wine, I always go from dry to sweet. And this goes with just so many wonderful dishes. It's not too dry, and it's also, the alcohol content is not very high as well, so it's nice to have at the beginning of your meal, as you work up perhaps to a more robust wine. So this is slightly chilled. I don't serve it too chilled because you really lose a lot of flavor. You can almost see a little effervescence, although it really isn't. Just very slight, and it's a white wine that really is undervalued. It's moderately priced, and it's a great wine to serve with so many dishes like fish or risotto. Of course, I drink red wine with my risotto, but that's, you know, my own particular taste. I mean, that's really what you should do. You should drink what you like. So, chin chin.
Chin chin.
So
So why is it that you start with the drier wine? Is it because it's a more delicate flavor
Yes.
and the sweeter will sort of overshadow it?
Absolutely, and your palate, you know, needs to progress as you're. When I plan my meals, I plan according to people's palates. You know, what are they tasting with this? Am I serving a balsamic, so I have to stay away from certain things? Am I serving a butter sauce? Anything that you make with a butter sauce, of course, this is an excellent wine
This
to
is
serve
very
with
buttery.
that. Yeah, it is. Yes. So.
Very good. Very good. Are we going to be having this wine at the Wine and Dine? Is this going to be one of the
Absolutely.
wines
We're
we're going to
gonna
have for sale there
We're
too?
going to have our wines from around the world, places like Piemonte, southern France, Spain, Chile, various South American countries, Argentina, which has been making wine for a number of years. And this year we've added a little niche, shall we say, our Napa Valley. We're bringing Napa Valley in this year to demonstrate to people that we've come a long way in California and America in making wines as well. And so we're adding microbreweries for those who have a passion for that, and a few very special vodkas as well. So it's an incredible selection that we have, and the food is wonderful, and the wine is great. The company is terrific, and there's just a feeling in the air that night of people enjoying. Now, we do taste. We don't drink every wine.
Right.
disclaimer.
Exactly.
Right.
But we can, we have a tastings from different restaurants as well, so that you can eat up.
Yes,
Tasting.
yes. Wine is incredible. The food is incredible.
Yeah, it is. And as you said, it's a wonderful evening. It's very relaxed, and there's just a very social atmosphere.
Absolutely.
It's a fun night, and you really get to try, you know, not only the great wines, but you get to understand what our local restaurants have to offer. Because I remember last year really stumbling upon a number of restaurants that I didn't even know existed
Nice, huh?
that had some wonderful,
So
wonderful
very good
foods.
Yeah.
So it's a good place to learn about the restaurants in our area and all they have to offer.
And we have this magnificent venue.
That's right.
Trump Golf Course is just such an incredible venue. We have gotten to know everyone there, chef as well as others who work there, and it's just like a big family party at this point. So we're very happy that we have this venue.
Right. No, absolutely. So what's it like being an executive chef at Trump? What types of events do you have?
Well, we do all kinds of different things, you know, from member events, bar mitzvahs, weddings, special events, business meetings, you know, just name a few. We've done some food truck events for our members. You know, I have a a tapas bar mitzvah coming up next weekend, which is, everything is little tiny
Oh,
courses.
that's incredible.
It is, and it's trying because we try to. The reason I came back to country clubs, I have 11 years in country clubs, 10 years in regular restaurants, and I enjoy being a part of people's big moments in their lives. So special events, and the one thing that I like about country clubs as opposed to other venues is I get to pretty much dabble in everything. As to where some restaurants, you might have the
Set
luxury
menu,
of
right.
change the menu weekly, daily, monthly, but still you can only do things in a limited scale. Here, we have a member restaurant that I can, twist my brain about. I also have member parties, plus all these different events that we do for our, private and public clientele as well. And, it just really goes back to what I try to do every day, and that's just make myself a complete chef. That's why I went back and got my pastry degree. And just, the ability at a country club, especially at Trump National, because they're so supportive of continuing and pushing forward with what we do there and trying to always elevate and give everybody the Trump experience that we can give them. It just gives me a perfect venue to be able to try to put all things culinary and all things creative into one vessel, and I get to throw it into a melting pot and see what comes out on the other side. So it's very fun.
That sounds like a great experience.
It
And it's a
is,
beautiful
yeah.
place to
It
work.
is.
The view there is just
Incredible.
magnificent,
Yeah.
and you're climbing that hill, and you're like, my God, when is this going to end? And you're
Beautiful.
at the
It's a
top, and you
wonderful
can
place,
just
yes.
see for miles. It's
We're very grateful.
very beautiful,
Yes.
very
It is.
beautiful.
And when Hudson Valley, the wine tasting came in a few years ago, I've had the privilege of being a part of it for a few years, and you kind of see the evolution of more and more people coming, more and more booths every year. We have to put more tables out, so it's
Right.
nice that every year you see a progression and a furthered development and a following. So it's nice because, it always challenges you to do better because, you want to make sure that people that show up again that were here last year
Right.
are like, wow, this is better than next year. And the people that come for the first time are left blown away and look forward to the next year. So I always believe everything is a trickle-down effect, and it's always about putting your best foot forward. And Rosemary and everybody else that's involved with this from Hudson Valley does a great job putting it on. We're just happy that we can be involved.
Well,
Thank you.
We certainly enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the other thing about this event is that not only is it a wonderful event, but it's for a wonderful cause.
Absolutely.
And I think that maybe a lot of people don't know that the evening raises funds for the Ashikari Breast Center, which is our breast cancer group here at Hudson Valley Hospital Center. And the funds go to underwrite the education and research that goes on. We have a breast symposium or a cancer symposium that we have every year where we bring together doctors, from all over the area to discuss the latest in the treatment of cancer. So it's really a very productive day, and really great for the physicians and also for the patients. So we're very grateful that we're able to raise the money for this.
Yes.
So I don't know, how are we doing here
We're
with
doing
our
close. We just need about
potatoes?
a few more minutes, and then we'll go ahead and commence our magic.
Well, that sounds
but
good.
it's,
Maybe you could tell us a little bit more about some of the other things that you're preparing for
Yes.
that night, because I know that it's
Absolutely.
not just going to be the
No,
butternut
it's-
squash croquette.
It's not going to be, but this will be prepared with the sage beurre blanc that we're also pairing with this at the venue. I'm not doing that today. We're just showing you the croquettes. But also we're doing petite lobster rolls, which you make that are very nice.
Delicious.
They'll go great with Rosemary's
Right,
White that you
wine,
had
yes.
here. And then we also have what we do in carved New York strip as well, just for the people who want some sustenance and some
The
beef.
meat lovers,
Because you
huh?
can't do something without red meat, heaven forbid. So, and it'll prepare beautifully with Rosemary's bringing the reds. And we also will have our own Trump wines available for tasting and purchasing as well. And we'll have some information about the club if people like to come and visit, because a lot of people are unsure about the things we offer. A lot of times people come in for weddings and I'll ask how they hear about us, and they weren't sure that they can come in and have an event at Trump National. And, I am all about trying to give the Trump experience no matter what budget, because we will go out of our way to make sure that if you're paying, if you ever come in with a fixed budget for a wedding, I want to make sure that your wedding at least top notch, because again, that's why I came back to country clubs. So that way, 20 years down the road, if they see me,
And it's a
they might
challenge,
remember,
right? It's a
exactly.
challenge,
They might remember
yeah.
a face like, you did our wedding. Thank
Yeah,
you so much.
right.
That's the best flattery,
That's
So,
nice.
and it's nice, and it's just, something I've always done. Is cooking. Probably learned from my grandmother, my mother, who.
Didn't we all?
Yeah, exactly. And it
Right.
kind of took me. My father, didn't really like it so much at the beginning. 'Cause he was a Marine, so he wanted me to go one way. I went the other way, but now he loves it because everybody comes, oh, your son's a chef. Oh my God, now it's okay. But before it's like, oh, you want to be in the military. But you know, it's funny how things change. You know, now with food and being so, with the internet and television, everything else, food is so accessible now.
People are much more into cooking and preparing foods. But you know, I wanted to go back to, we talked about the red wine, and maybe you can tell us a little bit about the red, and then maybe you can tell us a little bit about, you know, the wines that are going to be at the event. I know, I'm not really sure. I mean, basically you're there and you can taste them and then you can order them, correct?
Yes, you can order them as well. And of course the proceeds from the wine orders go to the Ashikari Breast Center as well.
And then they can be delivered before
They can be delivered before the holidays.
Before the
That's
holidays.
why we time it.
Right.
Our reasons are because of fall harvest, and it's appropriate to have a wine tasting at this time of year, and also because it's just ahead of the holidays, so you can plan for your holiday meals. Today I brought a Rosso di Montalcino. Montalcino is a town in Tuscany. It is probably the most famous for its Brunello di Montalcino, which is a very, very great wine, one of the world's great wines. This is what we call the second wine from the Brunello, which is a sort of a second press, and it's got a wonderful flavor. It's a little higher in alcohol content, as most of the reds are, than the Gavi that we served previously. But we opened it ahead to give it a little bit of airing. It's not a particularly full-bodied wine. It's kind of velvety, and it's going to go wonderfully with those New York strips that you're going to be serving, absolutely. But we will have many, many wines, red and white, and dessert wines from around the world. So we're going to, it's almost a teaching session, if you will, if you go from one station to the other and talk to the people who are serving the wines. You'll learn something about how to serve them, how to drink them, all of that. So it's almost a little wine course in and of itself.
That's great.
As well as food. The food is just absolutely incredible. So once again, cheers.
Salute.
This is what I was waiting for, the red.
Enjoy. As you can see, we served it in a larger glass. White wines don't really need to breathe as red wines do. You need to give them a little room to breathe in.
See, I'm learning all this.
And of course, open your red wine a little bit. As you serve it, don't wait until you're going to serve your wine. I open my wines when I'm starting the meal, especially the red. Of course, the white, I give a slight chill to, not too much because you ruin the flavor, but enjoy this wine, it's wonderful.
Delicious.
It's just enough.
Very
right?
good.
Yeah. We're from wine country ourselves, so it's kind of around you all the time. As I said, we just spent a month in Italy, and in Piemonte, you know, you drive down various, not in the big city, but in the outskirts, and you just see those grapes hanging there, you know, and you know what's coming shortly. So it's just a wonderful experience. I really suggest that everyone do it. I want to run out and just pick all the grapes and eat them. Well, you really need to talk to the person who's selling wines. They should. They don't always, but they should know a lot about where the wines come from, how to serve them, etc. If it's a good wine shop. Wines have always been part of families' dinners from the beginning of time, so it really shouldn't be intimidating. Of course, we don't overdo it, but we drink. My dad always said when we reached around 15 or 16, you can have 2 fingers of wine, you know, with the holiday dinner. And it's funny that it stuck with me that I never drink more than a half a glass at a time, because I keep thinking of my dad saying, 2 fingers, that's it.
Old habits die hard.
Right, so it's always been a part of many families and for generations. So it's kind of a new thing now, a new old thing, to serve wine with family dinners.
So why don't we show the folks here what it is that how we're going to make this.
So we boiled off potatoes, and one that's very paramount when you're making croquettes, or the base is called duchesse potatoes. And what we want to do here, so after we boil them, we're taking the oven, and at 350 degrees for about 10 minutes, we're going to let it dry out. And then, because you don't want to have the potatoes too saturated with water, because then they're going to become soupy. And when you try to make the croquettes, you're going to have pretty much discs instead of nice round or ovular or tube-shaped items. So I'm going to go ahead and peel off.
So that comes right off of there.
Comes right off right after you roast it.
Easily.
It's very easy to remove.
And you roast it in what temperature?
About 400 degrees for about 35 minutes. And then once that's done, I pull it out and let it rest, and then I'll cook the potatoes typically just so these are a little more manageable. When this comes out of the oven, it's so viscous and there's so much sugar in it that it kind of becomes a little hot. So what I'll do is I'll just chop it up a little bit just so it breaks up a little easier with potatoes. And now what we'll do is we'll go ahead and take the potatoes out. They should be ready.
I guess the same thing would apply if you were making potato gnocchi.
Absolutely.
To dry out the potatoes.
Absolutely.
So that you don't get them so soft.
Exactly.
That, I usually put mine in the freezer for a while. And then,
Sure. Oh, and typically, what I'll do as well is after this, I'll freeze them after I make my shapes, just because they're a little easier to handle and bread instead of just being so
soggy.
Yeah, exactly. And while they'll hold up nice, it just makes it a little easier. So what we have here is we have the potatoes and the squash together. The only thing I'm going to mix into there is 4 tablespoons of butter and 4 egg yolks. And then what we'll do from here is I'll add about a tablespoon's worth of pepper and a tablespoon's worth of salt. Okay, and then I'll take it over to the mixer. And so I'll start on slow just to get the potatoes mashed up.
Beautiful thing, the mixer.
Oh,
It's a beautiful thing.
I'm a low-tech person myself.
I bought my mother.
With a potato masher.
I bought my mom one for a while ago for Christmas, and I bought her all attached with pasta and everything.
Oh, it's
It
wonderful.
still sits in the box. Every time I go visit her in the winter, I'm like, Mom, okay, where do you use this attachment today? So let's use pasta maker. I'll show her to make fresh pasta.
I think you have to get comfortable with the appliances that you're using.
Absolutely.
So that's that's it, because most of the time I'm just in a hurry and I'm like, do I need to get this thing out? Do I need to wash it? Most of the time I'm just grabbing a knife, a paring knife, and I'm like, doing it on the fly. But it is lovely to be able to have wonderful kitchen appliances to work with.
Pasta cutters are just incredible.
Oh, yes.
How many years did I use the old cranks?
So that looks nice and smooth.
So here we have the mixture, and it's just everything we put in the potatoes, squash, egg yolks, salt and pepper. And the potatoes, again, we dried out so we have this nice thick mashed potato consistency. And so what we do from here is we'll take those potatoes, and I like to put them in a piping bag, but you don't necessarily have to if you can't find one. If you can't find one at the store, you can usually find it in any decent grocery store will have pastry bags now. You can either use the nylon ones or the plastic ones, or you can use the disposable ones like I have here. But if you don't have one, you can just let that cool off in the refrigerator as well. Then you can roll them into balls.
Sometimes I just use a plastic bag.
Sure, exactly. A Ziploc bag.
Ziploc bag, just cut the end off of it.
There is no set way to do this. This is just something I have on hand, so I just, out of practical uses, I just use this. So I'll just cut off a little bit to make a certain shape, because I like the long tubes. And so what we'll do from here is I will just now pipe it out so I get a nice long tube. And then from here, we'll just take this right over to the freezer.
It's a beautiful thing, isn't it?
And then after they're frozen, I'll go ahead and remove them. And these, I made them a little flatter because today we are going to pan fry these instead of deep frying. Now you can put a pot of oil down on the stove and bring up to 350 degrees. You use a pan, or you can use a deep fryer if you have one at home. So I usually cut the ends off because I like to have everything nice and flat and symmetrical. And at about 5 centimeters or 2 inches, I like to cut them out so they have a piece about that big. And when you're done, you'll have a bunch of shapes like we have here. And from that, we're going to do the traditional breading method, which is just flour, eggs, and breadcrumbs. So what we'll do is you take this and you'll first just put them in the flour, roll it around. You want to pat off any excess that you might have, so that way the egg will stick nicely to it. Roll it around in the egg. Dip it in the breadcrumbs.
Are you using the whole egg in
The whole egg.
Oil for that?
Canola, regular oil, you can use grapeseed oil. Any actual neutral oil works best. I mean, I don't typically use olive oil, and especially not extra virgin. But it really oil's preference. You know, whatever you like. I only use extra virgin to finish items with salads, fish, whatever.
Yeah,
So
that looks good.
And then typically what I do after I put something in a pan, because, you know, just a normal energy exchange, when you put something hot or something cold into something hot, it's going to bring down the temperature a little bit. So I
Right.
let it go for a little bit, but
Right.
then when the temperature comes back up, I usually turn it down to like medium, low, because I want it to get a nice fry instead of being too brown.
Right.
And what we do is, like, you know, just give it
Like a
periodic.
golden and
Yeah, we'll do it periodic
Ooh,
turns.
does that look yummy? And you're also going to be doing, right, what was that? You said the lobster rolls,
Yes,
right?
yes.
That's
Yeah,
one
it's
of
just
my
a little
favorites.
petite lobster roll. We're serving a little club roll. And then the carved New York strip, I'll serve with a nice little au jus that we'll make in-house. And so I usually try to keep everything simple, classic, and just, you know, to the point, make sure it's seasoned properly and then it's cooked well. And, you know, everything that we make in our kitchen is made with the utmost amount of love and passion. You know, if I see somebody upset when they're making something, I ask them not to make and go on to something else, because if you're not happy when you're making it, you're going to taste it. That's my full
right.
belief, you know.
Wonderful.
Just tell us a little bit about tickets for the wine tasting. And
Tickets, you can go online, right? You'll tell
Right.
them where to go.
HVHC.org.
HVHC.org or call.
Right,
our
or call the
office.
foundation office.
It's a wonderful wining and dining experience for everyone, as well as being for a very, very good cause that we should all be interested in. It's the restaurants just do a fabulous job, and they love coming and sharing their food with us. And the wine is magnificent. Stop by to see my husband Rocco. He's always a big item at the show, having had a lot of experience with wines. And so it's just a wonderful event, and it's $100 a person.
Right. And $80 of that is tax deductible.
Right.
So not
So-
only are
right.
you getting this wonderful evening for $100,
Yes.
$80 of the $100 is tax deductible. How can you
Absolutely.
really go wrong with
Really,
all this
really.
food and wine? And you know, for a great cause,
Yes.
as we mentioned. So it's a wonderful.
We hope you'll all help us not only have a good time yourselves, but help us raise money for this great cause.
Right.
So it's something that I love to do. I've been doing it now for 4 or 5 years. And
we thank you so much for
oh,
being chair of
it-
this event.
It's a pleasure. I
it's
have a great committee and great people who come and who have become wine friends, so to speak. And of course, the chef and Trump, which is such an important part of this event. So it's just a pleasure. And it's for such a worthy cause.
So
Probably,
every year,
yes.
as you mentioned, every
Gets
year
bigger.
it gets better.
It does.
Right.
It does.
And
Gets bigger and better, and more people, word gets out, and more people come and enjoy the wines and purchase wines for the holidays. It's just a great event.
thank you so much for
Thank
being
you.
on the show.
Thank you.
And thank you for
Thank you to
preparing
Chef.
this. I'm
My
going to have a
pleasure.
taste of it a little bit
Absolutely.
later. And
Absolutely.
maybe I'll even finish half of this glass
there
of
you go.
wine
Good.
for my lunch here. So thank you again for joining us for Healthsmart. We'll be back next month with another topic and some other guests. Be well.